Welcome to Peers, political economic elemental researchers and strategists. At Peers, we stand as your all-in-one partner, adept at steering you through the intricate realms of politics, economics, and business. Join us at Peers, where our seasoned team with expertise in politics, economy, business, and law is committed to your success. Together, we will navigate the future, making informed decisions that lead to lasting impacts. Follow us on Facebook, X, and LinkedIn to stay informed about how we can help you achieve your goals.
Previously on Episode 10, Elections on a Looking Glass, Political, Economic, and Legal Imperatives.
Peer Tony, ano bang nakikita natin ngayon in terms of the economy? Are we performing well, or at the very least is it performing as expected?
According to the Department of Finance, the Philippines was the fastest growing economy in the ASEAN region in 2023. And with a 5.6% growth rate, and it is expected to grow by 5.8% to 6.3% in 2024. And according to multilateral organizations, they recognize the country's economic strength. Now, in terms of inflation rate dropped to 2.8% in January 2024, and according to the plan of Department of Finance, it aims to keep it within the target range of 2 to 4%. And the labor market is robust, with low unemployment and high labor force growth. Now, in terms of the fiscal and debt management, the Philippines maintains a solid external position with external significant gross international reserves and low external debt to GDP rates. The fiscal deficit is narrowing because of the higher revenue collections, and the debt to GDP ratio will fall below 60% by 2028. Fiscal discipline and prudent debt management are emphasized by the present administration.
It seems, Peer Tony, that we're doing quite well. No, is that right? What do you think may be attributed to this performance?
Yeah, number one is, of course, we are doing good in terms of revenue collections. I think the BIRs and the Bureau of Customs is doing good in terms of collections. And of course, there are certain economic indicators that are in favor of the Philippines for going through a more robust economic growth this year. Although, of course, I would like to emphasize that the growth in the first quarter was 5.7%, which is below the lower range of the target of the government. So, but our economic managers are optimistic that by the end of the year, we will be able to achieve that, because the target is around 5.8% to 6.3%.
Ano bang problema dito ba, Peer Jubig, Attorney Digala, no? Paano pa natin maiiwasan itong ganitong sitwasyon?
Good morning, Peer Ed, Peer Tony, good morning. At sa lahat po ng nakikinig kayo dito sa aming talakayan. Tama po kayo. Dito natin makikita na marami sa ating kababayan ang bumoboto na hindi naman malalimang pinag-aaralan ang mga kwalifikasyon at ang pinagmulan, ang plataforma de gobyerno ng mga kandidato. At ito malungkot ngayon, sinasabi natin na meron tayong nailuklok na hindi natin malaman kung saan nanggaling. At hindi rin malaman kung sino mga naging kamag-anak, kung sino ang mga naging kaibigan sa kanilang lugar. Ika nga ng mga nakakausap ay bigla na lang sumulpot na parang kabuti. Siguro it's an eye-opener for us, especially doon sa ating Commission on Elections, na hindi talaga pwedeng mag-rely lang sa documents. Kahit sabihin natin na under oath, na notarized, pwede silang makasuhan ng perjury or pwede silang ma-disqualify if there is material misrepresentation. O Peer Ed, ang COMELEC po natin na namamahala sa ating botohan, kampanyahan. So, doon mo lang makikita, hindi naman yung actual na bilangan lang at pagtatalaga ng mga nanalo ang trabaho nila eh. Trabaho nila yung pre-election, di ba? Kasama po sa pre-election, yung check-in nila yung background and qualifications ng candidates. Kaya kahit siguro hindi na baguhin pa ang legislation, ngayon pa lang kaya nilang ipatupad yan.
Worse, no? That at the end of the day, it is how best a leader is able to come up with policies and implement the same so that we can really say na, uy, magaling itong leader na ito. No? At ito po ay hindi lang sa Pangulo, ha? Hindi lang po ito sa mga senador at sa congressman. Lalo na po sa mga mayor, lalo na po sa mga gobernador kasi sila mismo yung naandyan malapit sa atin. No? So ano po ba itong mga pulisiyang to? Yung pulisya po hindi din national policy yan. Kasi ibinababa yan sa lokal na pamahalaan at lokal na pamahalaan gumagawa din ng kani-kaniyang mga pulisya, mga programa para maipatupad ng tama yung mga programa na ibinato na at ginawa na ng national government. So mangialam, pakialam po tayo para sa ganon, maintindihan natin at nang sa ganon, matuto din tayong pumili ng tama. Hindi yung kung sino lang yung marunong sumayaw dyan, ang ating pipiliin. No? So ano ba itong inclusive growth, Peer Tony?
Ang inclusive growth, per Ed, ay ibig sabihin nun, lahat po ng segments ng ating society ay dapat makinabang. Lalo na po yung mga mahihirap, yung mga nasa rural communities. So po, kailangan nung silang makinabang din. Hindi po yung nasa cities lang. Hindi lang po yung mga nasa matataas na pwesto ng gobyerno, matataas na pwesto sa business sector. Kailangan po natin na piliin kung sino ang dapat na makakatulong sa atin, lalo na sa mga mahihirap na sectors natin.
Sa madalit sabi, Peer Tony, pag sinabi mong inclusive growth, ibig sabihin lahat tayo we're able to feel and naramdam natin yung magandang mga numero na nadidinig natin sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno, no? Hindi yung sabi nila, uy, umakyat ng ganitong percentage yung ating economy. Hindi naman natin nakikita yan. So, ang inclusive growth dapat nararamdaman natin yan.
Per Ed, alam mo, hindi naman ang pagiging mahirap ay haka-haka lang, no? I mean, nararamdaman po ng ating mga kasama dito sa ating mga kababayan na mahihirap. Lalo na po marami pong mga issues, lalo na napakataas ng bilihin sa ngayon, no? Yun po yung number one dyan, mataas ang bigas, at ngayon ay tumaas yung presyo ng baboy, no? Ang pork. So, nakakapagtaka dahil kompleto naman ang supply. So, bakit tumataas ang price ng pork? So, these are some of the issues na kailangan nating pagtuunan. At lalo na sa local communities, no? Dapat itong ating mga local leaders ay dapat titignan nila lahat po na dapat ibigay na para matulungan yung ating mga mahihirap na kababayan.
To all our friends, viewers, followers, fellow movers for real democracy and development, Filipinos here and abroad. Naimbaga bigat, maayong buntag, marahay na aga, mayapa yabak, maupay nga aga, maayong aga, magandang umaga, good morning to all of you. Here we are again on our regular Sunday program. Again, the main objective really is to understand better the issues, objectively looking at the facts and the figures so that many of us are really able to understand the important issues we now talk about in public, and we are better prepared, no, to somehow encounter, no, many fake news around, and in the process, of course, make more, should we say, reliable decisions, no? Especially that we're not only very active politically, but we're looking forward to the midterm elections. No, we're talking about managing the waters, no, the political and legal exigencies of the West Philippine Sea. So much have been discussed, so much have been said as far as the issue is concerned. And unfortunately, as we've always been trying to emphasize, this has become quite, an issue used for partisan purposes. What's more important really is to understand not only the significance, no, but the implications of the issue. Hindi po pwedeng gamitin lamang ito na para sa kapakanan ng ibang political groups or politiko. Kailangan po nating tingnan ito kasi may mga implikasyon po ito hindi lang sa ating seguridad, kung hindi lalo na sa ating ekonomiya, lalo na sa ating mga mangingisda, no, na talagang apektado nitong isyong to. Ito po ang rason kung bakit sa tingin namin kailangan tanungin natin yung mga talagang nakakaalam, no, sa issue na ito. Inimbitahan po natin no less than Dean Tony Lavinia, no. He's at present the Associate Director for Climate Policy and International Relations and concurrently Head Klima Center of the Manila Observatory and a Professor of Law, Philosophy, Politics, and Governance in several universities in the Philippines. In fact, I thought of inviting Dean Tony because I know of his work, no, as far as international law is concerned, and it's imperative for us to really understand ano ba itong mga to. He is a member of the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, no, the chair of the Jurisprudence and Legal Philosophy Department of the Philippine Judicial Academy, the founding president of the Movement Against Disinformation, founding chair of the Mindanao Climate Change Resource Facility, and member of the Manila Critics Circle. He has been my dean in the Ateneo School of Government, and as already mentioned, quite beloved professor of law in several universities. I asked Dean to join us because laging nababanggit itong pagkapanalo natin, no, nitong arbitration case, Dean. Hindi naman ang akala ng tao dahil nanalo tayo tapos na itong issue na ito. And supposedly atin ito talaga at supposedly tapos na yung problema, no, sa bansang China. Ano po ba ang kahalagahan nitong decision na ito noong 2016? Bakit kaya hanggang ngayon problema pa din, no? Akala natin we're so tawag dito, we celebrated, we felt so elated with the decision, but it seems it's still here. Could you help us understand, Dean Tony? Naka-mute pa.
Sure. Thank you, Professor Ed, Admiral Patrimonio, also recognizing you. Thank you for inviting me, Professor Ed, sa napakahalagang at importanteng discourse na kailangan nating pag-usapan. Right now, actually, the President is in Singapore. Kakatapos lang for also talked about this, di ba? First of all, napakahalaga ang desisyon nung The Hague. Actually, sa Permanent Court of Arbitration, na bahagi na rin ako ngayon. I just was appointed member last January of the Permanent Court of Arbitration. Kasi nag-provide siya ng baseline ng ano bang mga karapatan under international law ng Pilipinas, ng China. Diba? Halimbawa, doon pinag-usapan ang claims ng China, historical claims, at sinabi ng Permanent Court of Arbitration ng tribunal or arbitration tribunal na walang kabatayan yung kanilang dash line, both historically and legally speaking. Although the case was not about ownership, but was about yung tinatawag na rights under UNCLOS, United Nations Convention of the Sea, over the disputed area, the West Philippine Sea, which is an exclusive economic zone ng Pilipinas. Natiyak din natin na tayo ang may karapatan, may exclusive rights sa area na yon. So baseline lang yon, di ba? Hindi yan sa batas, pag nakapanalo ka ng kaso, starting point yan, hindi yan end point. Kailangan natin end point yan eh. Kasi siyempre, natin i-implement, di ba? Now, bakit tayo nahihirapan mag-implement? Bakit yung issue pa rin? Kasi China is a much more powerful country than us. Tayo din, we are not, di ba? We have already renounced war as an instrument of national policy. Sabi na natin yan sa constitution natin. So, kahit na powerful tayo, we will not do things against international law. Kasi we're committed to do that as a country. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na dahil hindi pa natin siya na-implement with respect to China na hindi siya implemented.
Exactly.
Kasi importante sa implementation, recognition ng mundo. And I will dare to say, this is already recognized by the whole world, diba? By all of the world, most of the world. Certainly the biggest powers, US, France, UK, 3 of the 5 members of the UN Permanent Security, 3 of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. Of course, yung neighbors natin, ASEAN, Australia, New Zealand. So, European countries, many developing countries side with us on this. Ang pag-implement kasi nito is actually through diplomatic efforts. Ang nangyari lang kasi, Prof. Ed, unfortunately, sa time ni Duterte, di ba, hindi naman tayo nag-retreat na nagsabi na ayaw natin ng desisyon. But we did not seek to implement it. We did not continue the diplomatic initiative that Pinoy actually started the moment we filed the case. Diba? Remember, nanalo tayo sa kaso na ito on the first month of Duterte's administration.
Exactly.
So we were still hopeful kasi alam naman natin, nagbibiro lang siya about going to the West Philippine Sea, mag-ski, mag-water skiing na siya. Alam naman natin kasi, kung naniwala ko nga naman doon, gago ka, di ba? That's his term, ha? Sabi niya, gago kayo kung naniwala kayo sa bola ko. Binola ko lang kayo, napunta ko. But we kind of thought that what he meant was hindi defend niya. So he was briefed. Actually, si former Justice of the Supreme Court, Carpio, went, di ba? Tumalakan yan to brief him. And then, yun na nga, wala silang ginawa. So we lost 6 years of diplomacy. Yun na lang si President Marcos, very strong about this. Secretary Chidoro, a good friend of mine, very strong about this also. So I think we're now back on track.
You know, it's good that you pointed out these things, Dean. No? I just have to make a follow-up because what really, I don't know how to describe it, no? Parang nakakalito lalo kasi parang ang lumalabas sa diskusyon ng mga tao ngayon, kapag kumampi tayo sa Estados Unidos, kumampi tayo sa mga Amerikano, gagamitin lang tayo nito. Parang ang sinasabi, kumampi na lang tayo sa iba, no? Parang ang sinasabi, mali itong pagkampi natin sa Amerikano. Kahit na ine-explain naman ng karamihan na as a small country, precisely as you've mentioned, you know, when we speak of international law, at the end of the day, it's implementable mainly by diplomacy. Kasi whether you like it or not, political ito, napabayaan nga natin, no? So, do you think tama na isipin na hindi tayo dapat kumampi sa mga Amerikano or probably there is an alternative to it? What do you think? How do we weigh on these issues?
Ang sagot ko doon, Prof. Ed, mali ang framing na yon na kumampi sa mga Amerikano. Ang framing dapat actually, yung Amerikano kumampi sa atin. Di ba?
Exactly.
That's the right framing na we're doing what is right, we're doing what is right for us. And the US, consistent sa national interest nila, and let's be sure about that. Di ba,
Uh-huh.
pumapanig lang sila sa atin, they side with us because it is consistent with their national interest. Di ba, like politics, alam ko magaling ka sa political analysis, di ba? And then there are no permanent enemies or
Exactly.
allies, di ba? There are only
Exactly.
permanent interests, di ba? So tayo, may interest tayo, kasi West Philippines, ang laki-laki yan na resources sa atin, di ba? For our future generation, we cannot afford to surrender that to China, di ba?
Exactly.
Yung US naman, yung kanilang permanent interest dito, yung free navigation of seas, di ba? At yung ability nila to move around near China kasi just in case magkakagulo-gulo sila. So, those are different interests.
Exactly.
We're not interested in the US winning against China. Wala tayong pakialam doon, di ba? Pero interested tayo na maprotektahan natin yung sarili natin. And to the extent na nag-overlap yan sa US, okay naman yun. Hindi ko yan inaano, di ba? Problema. I would always tell people, never think na magigera ta with China even under these circumstances. Hindi siya magigera with China. Kung yung China nga hindi nila in-invade yung Taiwan after
Exactly.
all these years, why will they invade us, di ba? This is
Exactly.
about confrontation, and maybe si Admiral can talk about this. This is about confrontation in that theater, di ba? Kung saan may ano tayo, may mga fishing visa, may mga fishing tayo, may boat tayo na stranded doon or na hindi naman stranded na nilagay doon, di ba? May mga tao tayo, may mga municipality tayo. It's just about that small area, di ba?
Exactly.
Na kailangan magpapakita tayo, hindi tayo pwedeng ibuli. Like Vietnam has always done, di ba? Of course, the fact na may US tayong alliance, di ba, is a deterrent to China. Kasi sinabi ni President Marcos the other day di ba, na a single Filipino death in the West Philippines, it triggers the Mutual Defense Treaty, di ba? Hindi ko narinig yung Amerika nagsabi if that's the case, di ba? Medyo general ang sinasabi nila about the Mutual Defense Treaty, but that was very interesting.
Yeah. Again, it's good that you pointed out those important details, Dean. Kasi yun na nga ang nakaka-frustrate dito, ginagamit talaga for partisan purposes. Hindi naman natin naiintindihan birang ordinary Filipinos. Just to add on to what Dean mentioned, alam po ninyo, pagka gera ang pinag-uusapan natin, hindi ibig sabihin dito putukan kaagad, patayan kaagad. In fact, we've seen the Cold War, for example, no? Merong talagang nangyaring mga gera, pero hindi directly between the two with this main characters, so to speak. And so hindi ganon kadali. So ang hirap isipin yung palagi tayong tinatakot na kumampi kayo dyan, so magkakaroon tayo ng gera. But meanwhile, what we cannot deny is that while these political leaders have been talking about with this possible events, difficult scenarios and so on and so forth, talagang merong actual na nangyayari at talagang apektado ang mga tao. Yun ang rason kung bakit inimbitahan natin no less than ng Coast Guard, particularly si Admiral Patrimonio in this regard. Kasi ano ba ang talagang nangyayari doon, at ano ang nakikita nating kahandaan natin, no? Vice Admiral Patrimonio is no less the commander of the Maritime Security Law Enforcement Command, no? He's a graduate of the Philippine Military Academy and a proud member of Sambisig class of 1991. He was called to active duty as ensign of the Philippine Navy on February 1791 and assigned to different Philippine Navy ships, finishing the executive officer billet prior joining the Philippine Coast Guard in 1996. A true-blooded Coast Guard officer, his entire shore-based career was devoted to the Philippine Coast Guard. He served as the branch chief for non-officers affairs and the secretary of the Chief of Coast Guard staff at the headquarters Philippine Coast Guard. He was then given the opportunity to command 3 Coast Guard stations prior to his assignment back to the headquarters of the Philippine Coast Guard as Deputy Chief of Coast Guard Staff for Controllership. No, his assignment in the Philippine Coast Guard is well balanced, and he's one of the few officers who was able to serve almost all of the support commands and all of the functional commands of the PCG. He is the first Philippine Maritime Attaché to the Court of St. James in London, United Kingdom, and served as the Philippine alternate permanent representative to the International Maritime Organization. You know, I thought of asking no less than Vice Admiral Patrimonio because he has really seen the front lines, so to speak. And so I thought, while we talk about what political leaders, what policymakers talk about at the top, tanungin natin ano ang nangyayari sa ground. Noon bang nag-file tayo ng case sa arbitral tribunal, Admiral? Ano bang natatandaan ninyo? Ito ba ang hudyat o matagal nang mainit ang sitwasyon sa disputed waters natin? O sa inyong experience, nagsimula talaga itong mainit na sitwasyon na ito, noon lamang nag-file tayo ng kaso sa arbitral tribunal? At ano sa tingin mo yung naging epekto nito on the ground, Admiral?
Thank you, Professor Ed, and for inviting me in this very important undertaking. My Presenter Dean Tony, thank you also for this opportunity to meet you online. Sir, I could not say exactly kung kailan talaga nag-umpisa uminit ang sitwasyon sa mga disputed areas, but for my personal knowledge and observation, and this is not reflective of my organization. Back in 2017, we adopted Coast Guard diplomacy, and the Philippine Coast Guard and the China Coast Guard had a bilateral agreement then in order to maintain peace, harmony, and good relationships between the two Coast Guard as well as our countries as well. But priorities of leadership changed. So siguro this was not pushed forward when there were changes of administration both in the Coast Guard and both in the national leadership. So, but as far as I'm concerned, this started way back, but was really exposed lately lang when our esteemed president assumed power, because the information was shared publicly before. Hindi kasi ito openly ino-open sa public, so walang live streaming o ano po ano nangyayari on site.
But okay.
That change na it was open to the media could go there, take photos, take videos, and in fact may mga live footages on what is happening really on the ground. Kaya the world, not only the Philippines, became aware of this kind of situation.
So, in the best, the best of your recollection, Admiral, no, I suppose nung nasa Navy ka pa lang, nakita mo na yung sitwasyon dito. So, talagang masasabi nating apektado ang ating mga kababayan, lalo na yung alam mo na, dependent ito sa access diyan sa waters na yan. So paano natin sila natutulungan? Ano ang nakita ninyo na very critical requirement for them to continue having access to those fishing grounds?
in order to ensure continuous access to fishing ground, dapat we should have a continuous presence in the area, may Coast Guard presence lagi sa area. And if the government will support our fishing industry, upgrade our fishing fleet from the traditional hull vessel, fishing vessels. I hope na i-upgrade natin yung mga vessels natin to steel hull or aluminum hull fishing vessels that could sustain operation sa area for a long time. Although ang connotation kasi ng traditional fishing ground is for marginal fishermen, pero mahirap na yung di sagwan na bangka diyan sa area na yan if magsasagwan lang. So I think it's high time for us to upgrade our fishing fleets that are operating in those areas. Hindi na yung traditional na dicatig na wooden hull vessels that are also quite dangerous sa mga fishermen din, lalo na kung heavy ang weather doon sa area na saan sila nagkakaroon ng fishing expedition.
So in fact, I think that's the advantage of China in that regard, Admiral, no? Kasi talagang they made it a point. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's really the government that took the direct initiative, no, to upgrade the vessels of the fishermen for whatever purpose. Of course, mahirap nang magsabi kung ito ay para sa swarming nila, no, para sa militia operations nila. But at the end of the day, as it's good that you mentioned na kaya naman pala, kailangan pala talaga na i-upgrade ang mga fishing vessels, no? It's not only for them to really be able to make the most out of their access to these fishing grounds, but also for their safety, no? Again, meanwhile, alam mo, kailangan nating pag-isipan ano yung dapat na galaw ng ating mga leader dito sa issue na ito. Kasi napakahirap na nakikita nga natin kung paano naapektuhan ng ating mga kababayan. Pero ano ba, tama ba yung ginagawa natin in terms of policy, in terms of engaging? I don't know din, no? But if you notice, ngayon, no, mas siguro sabi nga ni Admiral, dahil din sa technology, madali mo nang expose kung ano yung nangyayari. But correct me if I'm wrong din, but it seems that China has really been smarting from this I don't know, redirection, or should we say new strategy, no, so to speak, exposing really ano yung mga ginagawa nila dito sa disputed areas. Do you think this is a good strategy? Should we remain within this realm of policy and security work of our government? Dean?
Of course, yes. I think we're quite being smart, no? Salamat ako actually na dito kasi sa issue na ito, 'di ba, kailangan yung foreign affairs sabi natin policy engagement consistent sa security. So kasama na yung Coast Guard, Navy, Air Force, Army, ba yung buong AFP, kahit police kasama na doon. Security, tawag natin yung security sector, di ba?
Yeah.
And then of course, yung presidential leadership. Kailangan lahat yan in sync yan for us to be successful in this. And for the first time, medyo in sync tayo, to be honest, no? Kay Duterte time, unfortunately, even within the security sector, and you can correct me Vice Admiral, kasi mas alam mo, even in the security sector, medyo may division. Even may konting debate para na, ano ba mas importante, internal ba o external. Pero sa alam ko, I think, mapag-iyabang ko naman na I love lots of students na who are in the military, no? At different levels, marami na akong generals, parang ongoing are mga majors, captains. Parang alinaw na akong consensus, di ba? Nang kalaban natin ay yung external. Siyempre may internal pa rin, but parang less, ako ko lang kung tawag, mas less intense na yung doon, mas talagang may passion for external defense. Very good, ano. Sa time ni Duterte kasi, presidential leadership, grabe din. Very clearly, hindi siya interesado. Di ba? We're trying to find a different track, di ba? Unsuccessful naman kasi ang track ni President Duterte was, wag na tayo makipag-away kay China, mag-benefit na lang tayo sa relationship. We did not benefit from the relationship. Di ba? Yung biggest trade, biggest military ally pa rin natin, biggest investors pa rin natin nasa northern world, sa western world, di ba? Hindi naman yung China. At yung mga ginawa ng China sa Pilipinas, na mga, di ba? Una yung POGOS, hindi naman yung Chinese investment. Ayaw nga ng China yun eh. Di ba? So at least officially, they consider that illegal, di ba? But yung other things na ginagawa nila sa uh, sa Pilipinas, as far as I know, mas harmful pa siya, especially to the environment kaysa helpful. Tapos magastos, mas mahal ang mga loans sa China. And then of course, during the time of Pinoy, although nag-start na siya nag-adjust pa lang lahat kasi, di ba, yung ganitong klaseng mas confrontational with China, which, by the way, is not the preferred way, Ed. Kung China be better, di ba? I know that kasi I work with President Ramos, FVR. Very smart sa FVR. Diba? I was in the DENR kasi kami yung mahawak sa mga illegal fishing cases ng mga Chinese, yung mga hinuhuli na Chinese. Diba? Nagiging foreign affairs issue. Ginagamit namin as leverage yun. Diba? And China was not as bad an actor as it was then. Pero talagang grabe talaga yung China, starting with Pinoy during the Duterte time and ngayon. So we're smarter, I think, now. We're more united now about this. Bantayan lang natin, Prof. Ed, ang propaganda ng China.
Yes.
They're actually much better than us sa social media lang. Kasi China is the most advanced in the world sa artificial intelligence, di ba? Most advanced in subverting, di ba? Kasi ang mga sa China, hindi sila democracy, but they can train people to disrupt democracies, to disrupt elections, di ba? So I think we have to be careful about that and call things as they are. Although I must say this always, di ba? Huwag tayo mag-discriminate against Filipino-Chinese. No, don't do that. As far as I know, at least my friends that are Filipino-Chinese are even more loyal than many Filipinos I know.
Definitely.
Diba? Maybe because they show the loyalty, di ba? They feel that, but they really are loyal Filipinos, di ba? Hindi sila Chinese anymore. They're just, di ba? They're just Chinese Filipinos. Being Spain, yung background nila sa Chinese. Like many of us have Chinese blood, di ba? Let's make sure we do that. At the same time, be smart in fighting yung propaganda. Kasi galing talaga ng propaganda nila.
Dean, it's good that you mentioned that. No? Propaganda-wise, they have the tools. Pero in terms of messaging, alam mo, medyo siguro kailangan maintindihan din ng China na hindi pwedeng puro brusko lang na galaw ang gagawin ninyo. No? Yung soft power na tinatawag, kulang na kulang pa eh. And in terms of track record, the diplomatic way, no, parang hindi maganda yung track record, lalong-lalo na sa mga nangyari sa mga engagements in Africa, for example, no. So hindi po pwede na hindi po pwedeng puro lakas lang yung gagamitin ninyo na para makumbinsi yung mga tao na makitrabaho sa inyo so that they will feel comfortable working with you, no. There's a question na din live, no. If we have lost time and opportunity to push for our rights as a nation in claiming our victory in the disputed WPS, as you've mentioned, the frame has to be changed. What strategies our government can take advantage of to recover what we have missed? If I suppose, no, if the assumption is we can still recover from that lost time. Are there now new players or theaters that were not present before and which we can use to our advantage?
Well, nasabi na naman din ito ng government, di ba? Hinihintay lang natin yung next move nila. Ang pag-intindi ko, we're going to file a case in a forum. Hindi ko pa alam. At kung alam ko, hindi ko rin sasabihin. Kasi di pa na-file, di ba? Nabanggit na naman yan, so I can say it. An environmental case. Yun ang area na hindi natin na-develop pa ng mabuti. Na siguradong panalo tayo. I am an environmental lawyer. I'm an international environmental law expert lang, yun ang buhay ko professionally, no? And I can say with all certainty, di ba? Na China has breached its international obligations to protect the environment, to protect the marine environment. Hindi pwede yan pag, di ba, yung reclamation, yung pag-create ng artificial islands, alam mo, that destroys, di ba, ecosystems, di ba? Para yung Ed, parang sabihin natin, alam ito ni Admiral, yung ecosystems, marine ecosystems, napaka-fragile yan, di ba? In fact, marami dyan hindi pa natin alam, lalo sa ilalim, di ba? Sa depths, sa ocean. Much of that we actually do not know yet. Marami dyan unexplored pa, di ba? Kasi mas madaling explore yung space kaysa underneath the ocean floor, di ba? But every time you build an artificial island, di ba? You drill all the way down, di ba? You dump all the way down, di ba?
Yes.
Grabe ang effect niyan.
Yes.
Kaya related yan sa domestically naman, kaya people like me are against reclamation kasi nga, di ba? That's what it does. And when it does that, you don't even know what is there below that you are killing, di ba? That you are destroying. So, and China is doing that massively, has been doing that massively. So we have, I think, a very strong case. And there are various forums available for the Philippines, and rightly, they've announced that already. We'll just wait until they actually do that. I think the SolGen is the one that will be doing the filing, and we're hopeful that something will happen. Kasi kailangan natin explore all the venues.
Yes.
Can engage with China legally.
That's right.
But not through hand-in-hand combat or ship-to-ship combat. It's much, di ba? Although we need to build our capacity for hand-on-hand, hand-to-hand combat, ship-to-ship combat in the affected theater, di ba? I'm sure malilimit naman talaga dun lang yan. Pero syempre kahit paano may masasaktan pag gano'n, di ba, Admiral? Hindi mo naman ma-assure na walang masasaktan, na walang mamamatay kahit isa o dalawa. Hindi mo ma-assure yan. Vietnam has sacrificed quite a number of their soldiers through the years, di ba? But they successfully, parang totoong sacrifice yun kasi that sacrifice has really stopped China from attacking or hindi lang nabubuli ang Vietnam kasi lang lalaban yung Vietnam. But tayo kasi, I think kasi, pero yabang lang, Prof. Ed and Admiral. Magaling naman tayo sa batas, di ba? kahit paano. Di ba kina-complain na ang daming abogado sa Pilipinas?
Yes.
Kina-complain natin yan. Pero sa totoo lang, madami talagang magagaling na abogado sa Pilipinas, di ba? Kahit na 2 billion ng China, yung population nila, di ba? Tayo 100 million lang. I think per capita, we can say na we are good. Magaling din yung Chinese, I will not belittle the legal capacity. Ang ginawa kasi ng China, 50 years ago pa lang, or certainly 30 years ago, nung nag-aaral ako sa Yale University, all over the world, makita mo na nag-invest talaga yung Chinese sa mga pag-aaral ng abogasiya ng international law. So talagang handa rin yung China dito. Pero meron din naman tayong mga Pilipino through the years, mostly sariling sikat.
Sariling
We
sikat.
got our own scholarships, we got our own like sa Navy, sa Coast Guard, through the years, kahit na hindi siya priority pa, there have been people I know na yun na yung kanilang committed mission, di ba? So talaga naghanda sila, nag-aral sila. Now is their moment. Now is our moment, di ba?
True, very true. In fact, napakalaking bagay niyang preparation na yan, and sabi nga nila, 100-year marathon itong ginagawa ng China, and of course that works to their advantage precisely because, as you mentioned, Dean, hindi sila demokrasya, no? So they can consistently follow a unidirectional path, no? And meanwhile, tayo hirap na hirap, no? Kaya gusto kong itanong yung readiness natin. Of course, you and the Coast Guard Admiral, no, are the ones who immediately feel the impact of the way we have been handling the issue, no? Lalo na nga itong pinag-uusapan natin in terms of preparation na ang layo, milya-milya yung layo natin, ano. So would you say we are a lot more ready now? What do you think has been what has been the crucial point, no, improving Coast Guard's capacity? What do you think needs to be done, no? So ano yun na natin, pakyawin na natin, ano pa yung kulang na kailangan natin gawin sa Coast Guard para lang alam natin. Siguro, Admiral, alam mo, hindi na ako nagkomento doon sa sinabi ni Dean kanina, no, na alam mo, meron tayong kaunting experience dyan sa sitwasyon ng interagency coordination, no? At ayoko nang banggitin at may mga bagay na hindi ko pwedeng banggitin. Pero alam mo, at the end of the day, we have to inform the public, no? Maraming din nagtatanong bakit Coast Guard may Philippine Navy. Siguro simulan natin, bakit ba Coast Guard palagi yung nandyan, no? Para lang maintindihan ng mga tao, no? Kasi nalilito, akala nila pareho yung Navy sa Coast Guard. Bakit ba Coast Guard muna yung tinitingnan? At yun na nga, ano na yung mga nabago, mas capable na ba ang ating Coast Guard ngayon at ano pa yung kulang?
Thank you, Prof. Before I will answer your question, I would like to offer kay Dean Tony. Dean Tony, the Coast Guard has sent about more than 15 lawyers of the International Maritime Law Institute.
Good.
They took up a master's degree in international maritime law. So if you are pulling up a team of lawyers, I hope you will consider our Coast Guard lawyers because they
Good.
have their bread and butter for, I think it's a 10 month program at IMLI in Malta.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Alam mo, yan si Admiral Patrimonio. Yan ang siguro tawag dito, strong advocate ng continuing education sa Coast Guard.
Very good.
Kaya din maganda.
Tanong ko, Admiral, since when ka nag-start noon? Kasi China 30 to 40 years ago, yung talagang massive yung kanila. Yun lang ang ibig sabihin. But I think ngayon naman, talagang nagka-catch up tayo. Totoo yun.
We started sending siguro din around 2009.
Okay, very good. Dapat patuloy yon and more pa, di ba?
We have at least two students per year studying at the International Maritime Law Institute. They are scholars sa IMLI. So maganda din, I will give the number of our chief legal who is also a graduate of IMLI para mag-collaborate kayo para makakuha tayo ng magandang argument against China. Then going to the question, Prof.
Yeah, sige.
Coast Guard is humanitarian agency, and our main mandate is to ensure maritime safety, protect the marine environment, conduct search and rescue, and ensure safe and secure operations of ships. Hence, our ships are colored white because white is a neutral, non-threatening color. While the Navy's mandate is more on territorial defense from external threats and aggressions. Hence, Navy ships are painted gray, and sending gray ships disputed or warships the disputed territories might be construed as an act of provocation or aggression, and will force China also to send their gray ships, their Navy ships, and this will be a very dangerous situation as it might lead to war. That's why ang safest ship talaga ipadala is the white hull ships of Coast Guard for a white hull diplomacy. And because of this situation, the Coast Guard is doing its best to level up to face all the challenges which we consider as opportunities for us to develop, opportunities for us to to grow and to be stronger. We put our focus first on the qualification and competence of our training, of our personnel. So ito kasi ang pinaka-importante. Useless yung bibigyan ka ng high-tech na equipment pero wala namang
Aha.
marunong gumamit o mag-operate sa equipment. So through constant trainings and drills, we firmly believe that new and high-tech equipment will be of maximum use. Ma-maximize talaga natin utilization and hindi masasayang yung investment ng government because acquiring this equipment is capital intensive. Hindi ito yung 50 piso lang na nabibili sa tabi-tabi. These are very very expensive equipment, the vessels, and other equipment that we need in operating in the disputed territories. So if our personnel are not capable to use and maintain them properly, then sayang yung equipment. That's why we constantly train to specialize and hone the skills of our personnel so that they will be prepared to handle different scenarios and situations. Right now, because of the escalating situation at the West Philippine Sea, our people and our government have recognized the relevance of the Philippine Coast Guard, and there is an outpour of to fully equip and modernize our Coast Guard. In fact, there is a pending PCG modernization bills filed by both the Senate and the Congress, and we are really grateful for the lawmakers for this fitting recognition, and we do hope that it will be enacted to law. Kasi kung malatag ito, this will lay down the modernization foundation of our Coast Guard. But foremost again, I would like to emphasize, we need to constantly train our personnel. Train, as training is very vital to any successful undertaking. So, thank you, sir.
Alam mo, Admiral, coming from someone who has always been in the field, talagang this message is quite impactful, I should say, no? And magandang maintindihan ito ng ating mga policy makers, and it's also good to note that they are really making significant inroads toward that direction, no, supporting the Coast Guard. Ulitin po natin para lang maintindihan ng ating mga taga-pakinig, tawag dito, nanonood na alam po ninyo, ang Coast Guard ang nandyan kasi sila yung frontline talaga dahil yung maritime law enforcement kanila, no? Yung pong Philippine Navy, kapag kaya ng ginamit natin dyan, ang tingin kaagad yan ng buong mundo, hindi lang ng bansang China, gera na kaagad yan, no? At yun ang rason kung bakit tayo ay may mga kumbaga hinihimay natin ano yung mga options na pwede nating gawin, no, from the policy level down to the implementation level. At alam mo din kanina nung sinasabi mo yung case na ifa-file natin. When I had the opportunity to participate in some of these endeavors, no, pinag-uusapan na yung possibility ng pagfa-file kasi alam mo, nung huling nandun ako, kulang 200 na yung diplomatic protest na fina-file natin, no? 142 nung unang pag-upo ko. Tapos, umabot na ng mga 160 yata something yung mga diplomatic protest. Ang sabi namin, puro tayo diplomatic protest and it's not really happening, no? So, to my mind, this new protest is long overdue. Do you think this is a good move, not only in terms of legal options available to us, diplomatic options available to us, but I'm sure, of course, everyone has encountered. No, China has threatened to arrest anyone going to the disputed areas, even declaring a fishing ban. Pwede ba nila gawin yan din? Hindi nga yan sovereign area no, so paano ba yan? Anong magandang approach natin diyan?
Yung ginagawa natin, sinasabi natin na hindi yan legal, di ba? That is illegal if they do that. Alam mo, ang feeling ko yung China hindi nila alam ginagawa yun. Parang siguro sila, nagulat sila na ang tapang pala nitong ano. I, I suppose like many of us, kahit ako, I think na underestimate ko rin si President Marcos in his steadfastness on this issue at least, di ba? Alam ko naman kasi I know Secretary Chodoran for many years, kaklase kami sa College of Law and I've worked with him, engaged with him for many, many years. So alam ko naman anong thinking niya dito and perfect timing, a good president, defense secretary that understand what defense means, di ba? Legally speaking and policy-wise now. And of course, very important, a foreign policy team, di ba? Headed by Secretary Manalo that understands this, di ba? So nagulat siguro ang China, pero mali yun, alam nilang mali yun. Syempre, ano yan, di ba? Yung sabi na nila, so gagawin nila, we have to be careful kasi syempre, we also just don't want to unnecessarily, di ba, send people to danger. Importante din naman yan. I think we cannot be also careless, di ba? But the truth is that if China does that, marami tayong options.
So, alam mo, at the end of the day, talagang babalik at babalik sa suporta ng ng government, no? Kaya yung huling tanong ko kay Admiral dito sa cycle natin, kung mangyari ito, sigurado kailangan nating asistihan sila, no? But I suppose, Admiral, with what you mentioned earlier, with all these improvements and continuing training in the part of Coast Guard, talagang kasi nakita ko, no, talagang naka-assist na ang Coast Guard ngayon when our fisher folk goes to the area. So we're in a much better position now, Admiral, tama?
Yes, Prof. We are in a much better position now.
So talagang maingat lang kasi talagang alam mo yung mga nakikita kong video, binubomba na kayo ng tubig. Talagang patience is really an advantage, no? You know, ang dami pang mga questions dito sa live din, no? And we don't have that much time, no? There's basahin ko lang, no? But siguro we will try to answer to you later, no, by way of text response, no. Sabi dito, the global environment knows no political boundaries. Its components are spatially and temporally interdependent. Of course, that's right. This means that no one country or even group of countries has the capability to protect the environment, no, over time by its own isolated efforts. No? In globalization, who decides? I don't even have to ask Dean in this regard because you've already answered your question essentially. No? So at the end of the day, it's not a decision to be made only by one single country. Dito, is armed neutrality a good strategy considering that China is treating WPS issue in the context of being brusco? We're not yet at war, no? So it's not a question of armed neutrality. It's a question of neutrality diplomatically. So we're exploring all legal options. To Admiral, how does the recent Singapore summit contribute to the nation's confidence and moral strength relative to the condition in the WPS? Perhaps you can send your question best to the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea. No, if not to the National Security National Security Council, no, for better response in this regard. Our purpose here is to really look into the intricacies of the issue, no, not the decision-making part. To Admiral Patrimonio and Dean Tony, would you consider China building island and taking over the West Philippine Sea marine and trade routes? Anyways, do you consider this as colonialism or cooperation? Would you like to comment on this, Dean? Medyo masadong
No. I will comment kasi importante yung question na yon. Of course, it's colonialism. It's not cooperation, di ba? Cooperation siya if there's an agreement, di ba? Alam mo, before these things got very bad, China had that option. We were always telling China, di ba, na let's cooperate na lang. Let's, di ba, in fact, we have that naman. May scientific cooperation, marine environmental cooperation, di ba? While pending the dispute resolution on ownership, di ba? Kasi alam naman natin, most probably hindi natin ma-resolve yan in this generation, di ba?
Definitely.
So hindi na muna natin kailangan anuhin yan. But unfortunately, China also did not behave properly well with us, di ba? So parang nawala yung option na yan yung cooperation, di ba? So anything that they do, di ba? But basically, they're taking over, trying to take over, di ba? Seascapes, di ba? Sea territory natin that are either national territory or part of exclusive economic zone natin, di ba? So, tama yung slogan, atin ito. Atin ito, di ba? So, and if they're doing it unilaterally, ganun ang colonialism, di ba? Colonialism, you come take over, rob the resources, destroy the resources, tas alis ka, di ba? Yung ibig ng colonialism eh. We've had bad experiences of the American colonialism and Spanish colonialism. Siyempre, ayaw natin maulit yan with Chinese colonialism.
Thank you, Dean, for that concluding remark. Admiral, huling-huli na. We've seen how the Coast Guard works with practically all partners, no, and it's not a question really whether we're partnered only with the U.S. or what. That's the question here. It says you consider United Nations as global authority. Isn't it that China and the U.S. question UN to regulate global resources and activities? That's already a given. UN has its own mandate and expectations and so on. Ang tanong ko lang, just so that everyone understands, no, Coast Guard is ready and able to cooperate with any country, no? Can we emphasize that, Admiral?
The Philippine Coast Guard is always ready, sir, to cooperate with any country. In fact, next week we will be holding the Philippines will be hosting the heads of Asian Coast Guard agencies in Davao. So this is a meeting of all the different coast guards in the Asia and also in the Pacific. So ang main goal is to harmonize, to collaborate, to cooperate, to partner, and para mas smooth ang magiging operation and implementation sa mga international laws natin, particularly those issued by the International Maritime Organization. As I have emphasized to you, we are committed to our solemn obligation and the oath we took when we entered the Coast Guard service, that we are ready to protect our people and defend the sovereignty of our country. And despite the limited resources that we have, we will innovate, strategize to maximize the utilization of what we have in our inventory. And we are always ready to sacrifice our lives so that others may live. Yun yung pinaka-motto namin, so that others may live.
Nako, malaking bagay ang napaintindi natin yan, Admiral, ano? And again, if I may reiterate to our live viewer, this is consistent with what you've mentioned, no? As far as the environment, as far as marine resources are concerned, it knows no political boundaries, and so it's imperative, really, for law enforcement, not only the Philippine Coast Guard, but all the coast guards all over the world, particularly those in the same neighborhood, so to speak, to be able to work together. No, kasi nga it doesn't recognize political boundaries. Now, let me end by saying that as much as possible, of course, our purpose is to inform the public and so on, but also with the hope no, that our policymakers, our leaders can also pick up, no, from some of these discussions. To everyone and to our policymakers, let me emphasize, the little that I know, the little that I've been exposed to, these issues and even to policymaking in government. Alam po ninyo, the Philippines is an archipelagic nation. Tayo po ay napapaligiran ng tubig. No? At there's always an argument which country, Indonesia or Philippines, is the largest archipelago. I would always argue it's the Philippines because talagang napapaligiran tayo ng tubig and we're even divided by water. Kaya nga archipelago. Indonesia, on the other hand, landlocked siya with Papua New Guinea. So what I'm saying here, guys, is that our borders are so porous that you can go from the western seaboard to the eastern seaboard and vice versa easily. At ang hirap niyan yung in-between islands na yan, kung hindi natin masusustain yung pagtingin diyan, madaling gamitin against us. And to be honest with you, I found out this firsthand, myself. Hindi lang po sa West Philippine Sea tayo merong presence. Meron na din sa Eastern Seaboard, starting with the Benham Rise pababa. No? In fact, we've discovered a lot of interesting activities there. Of course, it's not for us to discuss it here. What I'm simply saying and emphasizing is we have to be very watchful, no, vigilant, no, that we're not only putting all our eggs in the West Philippine Sea, but we really have to be aware that as an archipelagic nation, dapat tingnan natin yung paligid natin. Kaya ang taas ng tingin ko dito kay Admiral, no, coming from a coastal area, no, from Dumaguete, talagang dito sa atin mas marami tayong basketballista, mas maraming interesado sa basketball kaysa mag-swimming, no, which is kind of weird. And so I hope that this episode of ours really somehow, no, gets into many of us and understand the nature not only of our policies, not only how this impacts on our day-to-day lives, but impacts on our being Filipino, being in an archipelagic nation. Magandang umaga po at salamat sa inyong panonood at hanggang sa susunod na pagkakataon.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you po.
Bisaya din ako, Admiral. Taga-isla din, CDO.